Today I want to show you the 107 series of Mercedes. This is the first one, the 350 of 71, and it comes to us from a Belgian collector. The car has been sold in Belgium, and this was the bigger engine compared to the old 280 in the Pagoda. So the characteristics of this car are, of course, the big V8 350. It has manual gearbox, 4-speed, that was later on replaced by a 5-speed. It has alloy wheels and no headrest. This car is in excellent condition, but it hasn't been restored. This is a car that's done 200,000 kilometers, but you can still use it as is, but in the next years you will probably improve it and restore it and enjoy doing that. So you can see the typical steering wheel from the first series and the seats without headrests. After the 350, Mercedes realized that they wanted to sell more cars and more efficient cars, so they put their famous 280 6-cylinder in the SL series. And so this is also a car that comes to us from Belgium. It's also manual, and it's the typical double overhead cam 6-cylinder car. This one is beige, which is a very rare color with a sort of camel interior. As they made the car more cost efficient, they started using vinyl. They called it MBTEX in the interior. This is a really nice car, really good survivor. It doesn't need a lot immediately. Of course, in the next 10 years you will want to improve it and restore it, but this is a very cheap car to buy and to run. So in the 70s, the Mercedes improved year after year their famous SL model, and this brings us to this fantastic Lapis Blau 1980 280 with a very low mileage. The car is brilliant condition. It was probably repainted, but it's so good, and the history proves that the below 100,000 kilometer mileage is completely correct. So it has all the tags and the original options from the 1980s. Also a cloth interior, but here you see that you have headrests and the steering wheel changes, and this one benefits from an automatic gearbox. This is not cheap, but it's really very rare and an excellent opportunity to invest not only in driving pleasure, but also in a fantastic cabriolet that will serve you for more than a decade to go without doing a lot of investment. So in the US, they always like big engines, so they made the V8 bigger. Look at this thing. It could pull a truck. This one is the car that comes from the US, and it has been completely restored some years ago. The quality for the restoration is good, but the finish is not perfect. That's why today it's still cheap. If this would be a Pagoda, the older model, this would be expensive, even though you can improve it. The 450 was delivered with an automatic gearbox, and here you start to see leather in the interior because our American friends liked their luxury. This was also the top of the line car. It was expensive. It needed to be really well finished. The car is a charm to drive, a lot of power, a lot of torque, aluminium wheels. This is a very fine example of still what I call the first series of the 107. Okay, the 107 in 87 changed a little bit its appearance, and you won't notice if you don't know it, but all of a sudden the spoiler becomes visible. You can see that it becomes more aerodynamic, and also the wheels are now sort of disc shape. They're closed. And you see these wheels on 3 cars, 300, 500 and the 560. And this is a 560. It was made and sold for the American market. It was made in Germany, but only for the American market. They used to have the big impact bumpers and the round lights that have here been replaced by European lights and European bumpers. On top of that, because the car became increasingly faster, they put bucket seats, almost bucket seats, in leather with headrests and all the options you could find in the day. So you had airbag, you had a 4-speed automatic gearbox, you had anti-block system, ABS, on the brakes, you had air conditioning, you had tempomat, you had everything on this car, because this was the car that had to be sold to the richest people in the world. It was one of the most expensive SLs back in the day, and this had it all. This particular car is unrestored. It shows about 60,000 miles and it's in American condition. That means that it drives, it works, but if you want to drive this in Europe and you want to have a technical control in Germany or Belgium or Holland, then you need to invest a little bit of money in the maintenance. Everybody that is a little bit older, like me, will know Bobby Ewing from Dallas, and this was his car. So the 560, top of the line, full option, the biggest engine, only made for the US, and you could see these impact bumpers and the American style lights. And people who have never known them as second-hand cars, as young cars, they actually like this design better. And our American friends, they don't really know, because the European look is very nice as well. But this is part of history. The legislation back in the day obliged the brands to be creative and to find solutions for impacts, for safety regulations that now seem like a joke. But this 560 with the bucket seats, leather, all the options is still in its American condition, American presentation, and you can buy this today for a little bit more than 25,000 euros, which is, if you compare it to its ancestors, the Pagoda and the 190, is really cheap, cheap, cheap. But it will not remain like that, because they are becoming increasingly rare in very good condition. And if you want one, now is the time to buy. So you can see the current collection that we have in 107s. There's a lot of cars. They range from extraordinary condition to cars that need a little bit of work, but that are cheaper. We have the coupe, we have the cabriolets, we have the American cars, we have the European cars. If you're interested in one, feel free to call. We send you all the inspection pictures over email, so you can see the car before you come, and you are most welcome 6 days a week to come and visit. We have lifts, we have testing opportunities. We can do everything you like to make you feel comfortable when buying such a nice classic car. Thank you for your attention.